The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, otherwise known as the FMCSA, is delaying the compliance date of its entry-level driver training rule, otherwise known as the ELDT rule, for 2 years. So the good news is you won't have to comply with the ELDT rule until February 7th, 2022. The reason for this is to, quote, provide the FMCSA additional time to complete development of the Trainer Provider Registry, unquote. The Training Provider Registry, also known as the TPR, will probably be a government-run online database of registered training providers. In a Federal Register notice, the FMCSA is now saying, quote, the TPR will allow training providers to self-certify that they meet the training requirements and will provide the electronic interface that will receive and store entry-level driver training, ELDT, certification information from training providers and transmit that information to the state driver licensing agencies, otherwise known as SDLA. The extension also provides SDLAs with time to modify their information technology or IT systems and procedures as necessary to accommodate their receipt of driver-specific ELDT data from the TPR, unquote. The ELDT rule was set to go into effect February 7th, 2020. Last year, the FMCSA proposed delaying 2 provisions of the ELDT rule for 2 years, but clearly stated its intention to begin enforcing the rest of the provisions beginning February 7th, 2020. However, the FMCSA has now broadened its delay to include the entire ELDT rule. In explaining its decision to delay the entire ELDT rule, the FMCSA said, quote, FMCSA is delaying the entire ELDT final rule as opposed to a partial delay as proposed due to delays in implementation of the TPR that were not foreseen when the rule proposed was published, unquote. The ELDT rule requires driver applicants obtain training from registered training providers. These registered training providers will teach 19 behind-the-wheel skills courses and 31 specific theory courses. Further, the ELDT rule requires trainees to score an 80% on the theory assessment exam and demonstrate proficiencies in 19 skills tests in order to be certified to take the state-issued CDL skills test. Driver applicants will also be required to obtain ELDT training from a registered training provider listed on the TPR. The TPR will be accessible to driver applicants who need to who need to identify a registered training provider that meets their needs. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The federal government is getting into the business of making sure that you are properly trained as a commercial driver. Isn't that wonderful?